talk about some road repair, bridge repair issues. I would like to make a couple of adjustments to the agenda, if I may. First of all, thank you for the public who are attending. Secondly, happy birthday to Norm.
Yeah.
One and all needs to know that.
And you're here.
Yes. Because it is Norm's birthday, I would like to ask the V-Trans folks if you would mind if we let Norm go first, and we'll put you on in 10 minutes if that's okay with you. The other thing I would like to do is we will need to add a brief executive session, and literally I mean brief, no more than a few minutes, to talk about a personnel issue. With that, if there were, oh, and then the last thing is the agenda that was put out at first had the wrong approval of minutes dates. That is not April's, but it is May and June's minutes that are being approved tonight. So with that, Norm, you're on.
All right. Well, in the village, we've certainly seen a lot of work on Pleasant and Prospect Streets. We want to thank all the homeowners for being very cooperative on both of those, especially Pleasant Street, because there really is no way in or out once we're working. It's been about a 2-month process, and we are very to the almost end of completion. We have a little bit to put on the roadsides, and we have to paint the crosswalks. Our crosswalk machine just got fixed today. We were going to do it the day that they were painting to kind of, capture their traffic help, but it just didn't work out that day. But it should be completed very soon. In the process, we did have a small incident, probably not small individual because I believe she had a broken bone, but fell on a piece of sidewalk, and we fixed it at the same time from about Matt Patterson's house up, which is about the middle of the street. And
Matthew has trouble hearing, so let me put that over there.
so we completed the upper end of that sidewalk and cleaned that up. Although it was all when we were working. Had to dig out a couple of water shutoffs today. But other than that, that project should be pretty much wrapped up. Hopefully we get some decent weather because we use a water-based paint, which is better for the environment than oil-based. So we'll have to have a couple of dry days, and we'll hopefully get crosswalks painted, and then we'll start painting around the village. As everybody knows, we've got a sign down on the end of Overley Road by the railroad tracks. We've been talking about this culvert for probably 2.5 years now. We've started putting it together. So that project is coming soon, and tentatively will be the first week of August, second week of August, we will start it and hopefully complete it. Unfortunately, that will be a big inconvenience for a little bit of the village because that entrance will be closed. There will be nothing to it. So we're going to work as fast as we can and get it done. We're doing as much ahead of schedule as we possibly can to get it. Well, that project is coming along pretty nicely. We actually have almost half the culvert built right now, which again was a humongous savings for us doing it and hiring people out. We got an email from the engineer, and we had to sign some papers for the Army Corps of Engineers. Dealt with that, and I believe that I had blueprints. I didn't get it fired up on my big computer this morning, but the last set of blueprints would be elevations and just some little details that we have to do. So that project is coming along nicely. That'll be our next one. We'll be starting working on it. We're roadside mowing right now. Once we get that done, we'll, pretty much going to focus on that. We have some commitments in the month of July that I have to go to Phoenix for. So, I'll be gone for a week. We kind of laid it all out on the calendar today and back. So I think we should be good. During the month, I met with a couple engineers on Hall Street and Park Street. Actually had a phone call from somebody today. So there is some interest in discussing both of those projects. Again, we've met with the trustees and looked at those. So I think we'll be seeing some sort of
Good.
numbers, windows, you know, and again, we could talk, this is big scale. You know, it's gonna be long plan. You know, you'll be going to a 6th grade or 12th grade graduation before that is completed. But we're moving forward, you know, and trying to get all the hurdles done. So that would be a good thing. There's a hazard mitigation piece on Park Street with a private sewer line that may come in for a grant. It's, you know, it's just being able to move it so there is no issues with it right now. It's existing, it's legal, it's everything. But if there's a chance to move it out of the stream bed from where, historically it used to go, there'll be maybe some funds for that will help also fix that other project. So other than that, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, I got a couple things, unless anybody else wants to speak.
I wanted to ask you, how long will Overley Road be fully closed?
Our target is hopefully less than 2 weeks. We can get it, passable with dirt, and then we do a temporary day close, pave it. That's our goal. And I'm hoping to do it less than that, but, our goal is 2 weeks.
Scott, you had a question?
Norm, does Prospect Street get center line painting and fault line or anything like that?
It does not. Historically, most of the village, we don't have that. We did buy one of those units once, government surplus, and it worked good. We did College Road. The problem is it's so labor intensive. We just don't have the force to deal with it.
Right.
Somebody wanted it worse than I did, and we sold it to them. To hire that out would be great, but by the time we do all the village, it's a pretty good amount of money. There are roads. I mean, I would tell you, plowing College Road, it's nice to have it there because I can see that yellow line when you get in the bad storm. Sometimes it's nice to look to know where that is.
Definitely.
We did 2 this winter that you don't know. So there's a ton of streets that can possibly be done. West Street, lower and upper. We can go back to Hall Street. It's probably wide enough, but it's low speed, so dead end. We wouldn't do it, but like all mechanic, Madison and stuff. We looked into that. It's probably $5 or $6 grand to get just the center painted in the village.
And not the fog.
Not the fog. Yeah.
Wow.
You'll notice in the state when they paint now, they only paint the center. They don't paint the outside line.
Really?
Yeah. You'll notice that.
As I get
They do it
older,
every
I
5
need
years or
those.
something. It's crazy. It's not like they used to paint all 3.
Yeah.
They don't do it. At one time before, when I first started this job, somebody at the top of the road, they painted with a roller one line around the corner to try to keep people out. That's completely illegal. Somebody gets in an accident, we're not going to do that.
Right. I recall when they were remodeling the bank where Bank Street and Main Street come together that you can use the lines to slow the traffic down. In other words, I drove up Prospect the other day and it is wide open and beautiful, smooth. I mean, it's perfect. But for people who want to go fast, it looks like it's wide open, So that's a consideration also, is the safety.
And it's something we can look at budget. You know what I mean? Maybe next year we get one of those line striping companies. I mean, they're usually a year out. You can get them to come anywhere. You see those individuals when they come, they're working, way into the dark, early in the morning. Those guys.
Yet another thing we can add on the long wish list.
Yes.
Norm, how long does that paint last? like a center line. I feel like I remember back years ago doing that, helping you with the College Road, with the machine that you had.
It really lasts a year. You can see remnants of it for a couple. In College Road, because nobody turns on it. It goes. It's like a big intersection. We paint it, and 2 weeks later, it's started going 3/4 off because everybody's making a corner. Everybody's turning their wheels on it, and they're just grinding it up.
I think of the piano in the middle of Bennington that
That's right.
lasted about 2 months.
Right. So.
I have two things to mention. Mark Boudreau called me this afternoon. He was going to come tonight and he's unable to. He wanted to note that, and thank the water department, they are going to provide the equipment, the materials to re-hook up the water to Welling Field. But Mark said he needed to talk to you to get some help. He did talk to you today, okay, so that'll be a project.
Yeah, that'll either be, early, middle fall project.
Yep.
Or, as things develop, his project gets pushed through the winter and in the spring.
Yeah.
That's what that will be.
Okay,
Like I said, once we get through roadside mowing, it's pretty much for
Okay.
that culvert and regular, maintenance still has to do. But they weren't going to be ready till September anyways.
correct, okay.
So that's
And then-
that part.
Then the speed sign, Norm got out the speed sign, and had to recharge that. And that is now, did that get put down
That
there?
is
Okay,
by the hangar.
that's down at the
Grass.
Hanco. And we'll start the rotation of that, and that is up to Norm as to when you can safely and adequately do that and where that can be. So thank you for that. Does anybody else, either in the listening public or here, have a question for Norm? Thank you. Thank you ever so much. Go enjoy
That
your
project
day.
went so
Thanks, Norm.
well. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, that was only 2 minutes over. We will now hand this over to, Adam Goodrow and your associate, Mr. Peterson, and the floor is yours. And Renee, if you were with them too, you guys have the floor. You let us know if we need to make you host, or any one of you, if you need to share screens.
And Renee, could you just message me your last name?
What happened there?
All right.
You should-
Are you all able to see that?
Oh,
Yes.
oh, you could only already
He's
do
sharing
that?
the screen.
Oh.
He's on that.
Did you do that?
Yep. I can put it in a chat.
Yep, perfect, thank you. Okay.
All right.
For those
So,
who are here, I'm going to turn, please, pardon me just a second. I want to turn this around so public can come up closer if you wish and see something.
There you go. I'm here.
No, I'll do
Yeah,
that.
we're
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, you're all set. Go right ahead.
excellent. So thank you, Mary. As Mary mentioned, my name is Adam Goudreau. I'm the V-Trans project manager for the Shaftesbury STP 014-1 bridge replacement project. We came here today for a regional concerns meeting, really just to provide an update of where this project is at, because I know it is more of a legacy project that the community hasn't seen for a while. So with me here today, I have David Peterson. He's the design engineer on this project. And then, Mary, I hope it's okay, I did take the liberty to invite Renee. She is the V-Trans project manager for a rail project that is just north of this project. So she can just provide a brief update on where that project is at as well.
Excellent, excellent, thank you.
And just for everyone's background, these two projects were combined at one point. They've since been split out. So what we're going to cover today is the V-Trans project development process. Then I'll touch on the Shaftesbury Route 67 project. We'll talk about the proposed design, how we're maintaining traffic, and then cover the construction schedule. Then I'll transition things over to Renee to give a brief update on the Vermont Railway Bridge 57-5 project. And then we'll open up to questions at the end. So just for orientation, this project is located, the Route 67 project is located about just under a mile east of the New York border, and then approximately 1 mile west of the junction with 67A. This is an aerial of the bridge location. So an update of where we are in the VTrans project development. So the project was previously authorized for funding from FHWA and then defined. At that point, resources were identified, various alternatives were evaluated, and then there was a public participation period to build consensus on the project. So we've since moved beyond the project definition phase into project design. We're done with the preliminary design and are currently finishing up the final design. So what that means is that we've quantified our areas of impact. We are in the process of obtaining environmental permits. Those plans, estimates, and specifications are closer to being ready for advertisement. And then we're also completing the right-of-way process currently. So once we finish this phase, the project will be ready to be advertised for contractors to bid on and the project to be constructed. So the existing conditions out there, the road is classified as a minor, rural minor arterial. It is currently a 20-foot span concrete slab bridge. It's owned by the state of Vermont, and it was constructed in 1934. So some of the issues with this bridge that this project looks to address are the eastern abutment, which is undermining. As you can see in this photo, so Cold Spring Brook flows down towards the bridge and then makes almost a 90 to go out the other side of the bridge. So on this eastern abutment, as you can imagine, the water scours out that abutment and then piles material on the western abutment. So that's what, on the western abutment, we have aggregation buildup. Also on the upstream side, there's a stone retaining wall that's failing, so that needs to be removed and replaced. The bridge doesn't meet either its hydraulic needs or the bankable width standards, which is an environmental standard. And additionally, the bridge soft fit, which is the underside of the deck, has cracking with some infiltration of water as well as efflorescence, and that's that white crystallization that you'll see on concrete. The shoulders on the roadway through this area are also substandard by 2 feet, so that's another thing that we will be addressing with this project. So the proposed structure, this was the selected alternative. It'll be a 32-foot, 3-sided buried structure, or a concrete frame, if you will. So this will address the structural deficiencies with the bridge, as well as widen the roadway to our standard 11-foot travel lane with 5-foot shoulder. We'll have a 80-year design life and meet the necessary hydraulic requirements. An added benefit of this type of structure is that it shortens the closure duration that's required to get this work completed. So we're looking at a 4-week closure on this bridge. These are just some typical sections of the proposed structure. So you have the 3-sided box or frame, which sits on top of precast abutment pedestals, and those are on cast in place subfootings. the stream bed in the culvert is a natural stone material. And then the roadway, this is just to show here, we'll have 11-foot travel lanes, 5-foot shoulder. Where we have slopes greater than 1-on-3, we'll have guardrail at the face of that shoulder. So looking at the project in plan view, this is the structure on Route 67. We have wing walls here on either side, as well as straight on these quadrants of the bridge. This is all stone fill in the channel and through the structure. So one thing with this project is that in order to widen the roadway and meet the standard 11.5 lane and shoulder widths, and then properly slope the embankment down to this unnamed stream to the south here, it did require us replacing a drive culvert. So that here has additional impacts to this parcel. So as you can see here, we have impacts both at the main structure and this ancillary structure to this parcel. And then this parcel up here additionally has impacts this parcel and this parcel owned by the same property owner, and there are impacts on both sides there as well. This is just a profile of the roadway just to show that it's not changing by very much. So as I mentioned previously, the intent is to close this road for the duration of 4 weeks. Traffic will be maintained on a detour through New York State, and there will be a local bypass route. That local bypass route will not be signed, so only local traffic should be using that. So as mentioned, the regional detour, that will be down through the village of Hoosick Falls, and then down to Hoosick and back up to North Bennington. The local detour makes use of McCullough Road down here.
Up Harrington and down McCullough.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's just up Harrington and down McCullough, and it's all dirt roads, so it
Gotcha.
makes sense that that wouldn't be a main drag.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't want to put undue wear on that road.
Norm, thanks you.
So do all the walkers.
Yeah.
So the construction schedule for this, as I mentioned, we're finishing the final design right now. So we're looking at being ready to advertise towards the end of this year, early next. But realistically, we won't advertise until like June or July of 2024. So that puts us in a 2025 construction season. We do anticipate a full duration for the construction season of April 15th through October 31st. However, the bulk of the work for replacing the structure would happen during the 4 weeks during the summer. I'd say July 1 and September 1, it'll be some 4-week period during that time. So with that, I'll turn it over to Renee just to talk about the PTRY 20 project. And Renee, just let me know when you want me to switch a slide.
Okay. Thanks, Adam, for the introduction. You can go to the next slide. So for existing conditions, we have a stone arch culvert with some corrugated repair sections that were done over the years. About 60 feet under the railroad tracks. You can go to the next slide, please. So we have a 10 feet by 10 feet concrete box. It's 144 feet long. And we're also going to be doing some stone channeling, right on the inlet culvert. So you can go to the next slide, please. So I'm advertising this project next Wednesday, on June 21st. So tell your earth moving contractor friends. The big construction season is going to be in 2024. There's going to be probably some increased truck traffic due to the amount of material that we're going to be moving in and out. We have a 21-day railroad closure shutdown from July 31st to August 22nd. That's going to be the main construction activities that are going to be going on at the railroad in 24. I think that covers it.
Yeah, so that was all we had for updates. And just to show here, this is where the Route 67 bridge is located. And then this up here is where the 57.5 railroad bridge is located.
I have a picture of that. Does anybody?
Is the railroad bridge
There's the big, hairpin turn, and just around past the hairpin turn, there's the railroad bridge that goes across.
Hairpin turn where? I'm not picturing
When you
this.
go down 67 and you
Yeah.
cross around where the carousel used to be, there's that big hairpin turn.
Oh,
And
that's
crosses
where
over
the
to
bridge is, but what about the Shaftesbury?
Well, the railroad tracks is around the corner.
Oh,
from that,
around-
because
oh,
you go
okay.
into New York State
Oh,
line.
yes, of course, thank you, okay.
It's sort of uphill.
Which is,
Yes.
this is where I was gonna ask the question, because being on the fire department, I wanna know basic local traffic. If we've had a lot of, brush fire calls this past year so far, as mutual aid, and who's it calls down by the battlefield. How are we gonna access if we have that same issue next year with this construction going on? Is there a way they can meet with us to figure out something for the fire department if we have mutual aid calls, especially with it being that close to the battlefield and not having to go all the way down into the town of Hoosick and back around?
Well, you guys can use the Harrington Road. I mean, I know it's not ideal on the trucks, but you could go,
You go up
McCullough
past
to
Park
Harrington.
McCullough.
Sorry, yeah, I mean, but then we're still gonna run into the part where they're working on the railroad tracks, so.
Well, I don't think they're gonna be-
one or the other.
Adam, those aren't gonna be simultaneous, correct? They're gonna be two separate ones.
Correct. There'll be 2 separate years. The initial thought was to try and get these done in the same construction season to minimize the impacts to the property owners that these projects impact. However, just given the closures and the short duration of the summer construction season, that's not going to work. So the railroad bridge will go in 2024, and then the highway bridge will go in 2025.
Is the railroad bridge gonna affect traffic in any way?
No, sorry, Renee, you can talk to that.
Oh, you're fine. I just think it might increase some truck traffic during the month of August in
Okay, but if
2024.
there won't be a detour for that part of the project.
Right, so you guys won't, like I said, so the railroad bridge won't affect you at all if there's a fire, mutual aid. Right, but when the bridge goes, you'll have to use Harrington Road if you have to get over to North Houston.
So they can just kind of let us know that that's started and we can just use the detour.
They'll keep posting, they're gonna keep posting this information, so once it's official, it'll be out there.
I think for emergency services, you guys have the straightest shot, whatever goes fastest. So, McCullough onto Harrington, it spits out just,
Below the bridge.
yeah. just
Right,
below.
yep, right on that turn.
This is Harrington. Or no, sorry, Harrington.
So if I could go back just a second, Adam, you mentioned a legacy project. What does that mean?
Sorry, so these 2 projects were originally together, I believe, back in the early 2000s. So there was some design done with them together, the project, and then the two were split out. So that's all I intended by that. Was it's a little bit longer than our normal duration for a project.
But what does legacy mean?
Maybe that's right there.
I don't know if there's a technical definition for it, but generally one that's been kicking around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one that.
Sounds important.
Gotcha. Sorry. No, just that there's probably been.
On time, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now,
Hello?
to the
If
question.
we're gonna ask members of the public, if you have a question, just to raise your hand in the chat or ask your question through the chat, please.
So to the question, Adam, that other people had, will you be coming back to public meetings closer to the construction of both of these projects?
Or will there be signs up?
Yeah.
Clearly state when there's going to be construction.
Yeah, so we can come back if the town would like. I think, Dave, can you speak to what we have for signage regarding pre and during the closure?
Sure. Yeah, we have requirements for the contractor to get signs in place. I believe it's at least 2 weeks before like any road work, and then before the closure too. So, Adam, will there be a PIO, Public Information Officer, too,
Yes.
assigned
So
to this project?
Yeah. So once we finish the review of final plans, then we'll move forward with procuring a public information officer. That will help us with some of that communication and outreach.
Thank you. So Doug, are you seeing anything in chat, or since you've got the?
There was a person who joined by cell phone. I'm going to unmute you if you had a question,
And give your name, please.
and also state your name.
So are there any questions?
Hello,
Yes. State your name.
I didn't make the meeting. I'm Sam Rustino from Bennington, Vermont. I just had questions on where actually this bridge is located in 67. Is it North Bennington or Shaftesbury?
It is in Shaftesbury.
But it will
Do you
affect.
have any landmarks?
Do you know where there was a Morgan horse farm on 67?
Not quite off.
You know where there's a llama farm or alpaca farm on the corner, right before you get into New York?
How about
It's-
Harrington
Oh,
Road?
right where the state line used to be. Okay.
So
So
it's
if you-
sort of before that.
Yeah.
So do you know where Harrington Road is?
The dirt road on the left-hand side, right?
Correct. So it is just closer to North Bennington before Harrington Road. So
Okay,
It is
I know
possible
that was
for local-
Shaftesbury.
yeah, Shaftesbury's funny shaped.
Yeah.
That lets local traffic use Harrington Road to get around the blockage if it needs to.
Oh, okay, you just answered my question, because if this is gonna be a total shutdown, then you're gonna have people going on Harrington Road, a dirt road, which is kind of tricky when you got gravel kicking up.
Well, the official detour is going to be, sorry, I have all the answers, please. The official detour is going to take people out into Hoosick and then back around into the middle of town. And local traffic will be allowed to take Harrington and find their way to us.
Okay,
Does that make
next
sense?
question is this detour gonna be patrolled, because you know how people like to giddy up go on gravel roads?
That would be the V-Tran. They can answer that, and they would probably communicate with the Bennington Police and the state police. That would be as their project.
Right,
Can we-
well, I'm just not saying that something's gonna happen, but just forewarned on the situation on how people drive. You can't control how they drive, and people don't like to be inconvenienced at a wait time or a detour, and they have to get wherever they have to get going. So being that a gravel road is very slippery condition.
So, sir, may we have your name for our clerk's records?
Sure. Is this Mary Rogers?
Yes.
Hi, Mary. I've met you before. I'm Sam Rustino. Last name Restino.
Oh, okay. Well, pardon my poor memory, sir, because I don't remember.
Oh, I know. I met you at.
We don't know your voice.
At Hannaford, you're the gentleman we chatted with at Hannaford. Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not there in person. I'm there by phone, so
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
halfway.
So
So how
Sam,
long is this project going to take?
this is a project that has to get done, and quite honestly, the last time this bridge was built was in 1934, so it shouldn't happen soon.
And we'll let V-Trans jump back in, but I believe it's about a 4-week build.
Correct. Yeah. So the actual with prep work before the closure, and then some work items to be completed post closure, we anticipate a full construction season from April to October. But the actual closure will only be 4 weeks.
Thank you for that clarification.
That's a lot of
And I'm quite
weeks.
sure it'll be.
There's going to be a significant amount of daily commuting traffic on Harrington Road, even if it's not posted.
Yeah.
It's going to be significant, and we've dealt with this before when everybody went down Park Street, semi-trailers and everything else. The impact's going to be big, but it has to be done.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, any further discussion?
I have a quick question.
Oh, Scott, go ahead.
There was mention made of wing walls, and I'm curious if that's a flood control feature that protects the foundations of the bridge in the event of a major weather event.
So I'll try and answer that a little bit. So you can see a little bit here, and then as well as here. These are the existing wing walls. So they're primarily earth retaining structures, just to get the grade at the bridge to work properly. But in this instance, they do also aid in guiding water through the structure.
So that's the proper name. It's not. I thought they were called aprons, bridge aprons, but I stand corrected.
So it's for earth retention and water direction.
In water direction, yeah.
And just rebuilding other pieces already. Better.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions, either from our participants here or viewing and listening?
Quite sure.
Go ahead, whoever that is.
Sam again.
Oh, Sam, go ahead.
Yes, I'm acting blind because I'm just talking through a phone. I don't have this up on screen, so I'm acting blind. My apologies. But I'm quite sure with V-Trans, they'll be giving updates through social media.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Adam, is it possible to get a copy of your deck here so that we can show this to those who are interested?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, we'll post it on our website. Good idea, Doug.
Yes, and
Yeah,
you're
Sam, if you want, if you want to check the website periodically, villagenorthbennington.org, once V-Trans sends it over, Mary will get it uploaded, and you can view, and anybody listening or watching on Cat TV, you can view the slide deck on our website.
Yes, and I will share that information as well, because you know that I got a page that says Bennington Town Info, so I'll try to notify the masses as much as possible, because I'm preaching to the choir. 67 is highly used for traffic between North Bennington and North Hoosick.
And Sam, I don't think you knew that this is gonna happen in 2025, because you tuned in a little after that, so we've got a little time.
Okay, yeah, a lot can happen. I understand that, Mary. You answered most of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. If there are no other questions, we will move on to the next item agenda. Those listening are welcome to stay, or you may depart at your leisure. Thank you to all of you who've been helping us here through this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, all right, let's get back to here now. Okay, the next item on our agenda, we will be reviewing and approving minutes. My original agenda, as I said, was wrong. We have minutes of May 9th, which was then continued until May 12th. So let's take those for now. Were these, I assume everybody's been able to review all of these?
I would make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Okay, you got that for your notes? Okay, all in favor of May 9th, continued to May 12th? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was all of us. Thank you.
Did you put Ray arriving in your?
I did.
Good.
Believe it or not.
Okay.
We got you.
The next set of minutes we have are for special meetings, May 31st, June 5th, June 8th. These also, I presume trustees have fully reviewed. These are, by the way, for public, these are all out on the website as drafts.
Can you say the dates again?
It was May 31st, June 5th, June 8th.
I'll move those.
Scott has moved those.
Second.
Ray is seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're done with that. Thank you. We will now move to reviewing the warrants and approval of bills. Doug, you take these in whatever order you wish.
I have the payroll warrant first. So for the month of May, it was a normal 2 pay period, so there's nothing out of the ordinary, 1 Aflac. So the total for the payroll warrant is $12,622.75.
I will, go ahead.
Matthew
Matthew moved that. Ray seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
We have a signed copy.
Okay.
They're using my copy.
Okay, so next, we had a late May warrant. Our meeting in May was early in the month, so we had some bills that came in. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. The 2 larger ones was Blue Cross Blue Shield and Green Mountain Power. So again, ones that we pay all the time. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer. The total for the late May warrant is $4,665.32.
So moved.
Second.
That was Ray and Scott. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the final warrant is the June warrant. I'll read the total first, and then I'll hit a couple of highlights and answer if there's any questions. The total warrant for June is $43,707.72. Largest item on there is the VLCT property and casualty, which is our quarterly insurance, which was a little over $12,000. There are 3 items on here that will be covered via reserves. There's a $5,500 for Bowman paving, which is the sidewalks on Prospect. That'll be covered from the sidewalk reserve. There is a depot repair of a little over $1,400. That'll come out of the depot reserve. And there's an MS&K engineering, which was 1,805, which is for Welling Field work, which was approved via ARPA. So those three items will all be covered via the reserves. Mary.
Before you take reserves out of sidewalk, we did have a budget for that, but I don't know that we had earmarked $10,000 of the highway budget for that, so unless it's necessary, or if you haven't done it already.
I have not done it, no.
Good, then let's wait until we
Okay.
get towards the end of the year. If we aren't over, we might as well, end of the month. No, that is the end of the year. Yes.
Yeah, so I won't
Yeah,
transfer
thank
that yet. We'll take a
Okay.
look, we'll take a look at the budget,
Yeah.
at the end of the month and, determine if we need to do a reserve transfer.
Excellent, great work.
No problem. So if there's no other questions, then
What
again,
was the price of the sidewalk again?
55.
that's for the paving piece
That's
of it.
it.
Yep.
Oh,
And
that
then
was
we
a lot less than.
Well, no,
There's still a
because then-
little bit more work.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have to pay for the materials,
okay.
and I don't think we've seen that.
I don't think we have,
Yes.
yeah, because
Oh,
we're
that's
still,
including material.
Yes.
right, that's the actual, the work piece
The
of
whole
things.
project should be in the vicinity of 10,000, which is what
Yeah,
our
so I
budget
was
is.
pleased.
Yep.
500, but I didn't have all the info.
Okay, so again,
I'll move this warrant.
I'll second.
Do you have the information you need? I do. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Matthew's got a thumbs up, so that's unanimous for those of us here in attendance.
okay, and
Good.
then that's it for me for now. I'll jump back in a
Yes.
little later.
So hold on, where,
Well, actually,
okay, now
there's
we're gonna jump over here. The next item on our agenda, was going to be the introduction of our interim fire chief, Keith Cross Jr. Keith is, what a busy guy he is. He is unable to attend, but we welcome him in for his brief interim period. And, we thank, Mr. Harrington for his many years of service, that he's given to the village. In attendance, did you need to say something? No, okay, thank you. The next thing, let's go right back to Doug. You're right back on for treasurer's report.
Okay, let's see, I've got a few notes here. So a few things to highlight here. Delinquent taxes, we're still doing very well. We have 3 parcels in the Shaftesbury ID, which are subject to North Bennington School. And we have 1 parcel in the village, which has village and school, which have had no communication. I've been in contact with Shaftesbury. They owe on the Shaftesbury side too. So if those are not paid by June 30th, those will be turned over to the village attorney to start the collection process. Through the attorney, and Shaftesbury's attorney has already been in contact with me also, and they're on the same page with the 3 that cross over. There are several other parcels, but those are being paid or they have a minimal balance due on them. So the 4 are the only ones that have not made any sort of payment on the taxes. And again, as I've stated before, those are for just this tax year. We have nothing outside of this tax year past due.
Excellent.
The other item that
So
pertains.
just a question. So these parcels paid last year, the previous years?
Correct. Yeah, so
And
they,
were they late last year, that year?
off the top of my head, I believe one was late, paid through the attorney also last year. I think the other 3 are all new this year. They did not have at least significant past due. I'd have to look to see if they were a month late or anything, but I don't believe, of the 4 that are potentially going to the attorney, I think only 1 went to the attorney last year.
Okay. So, but you've talked to these people or you haven't talked to them?
Have not, that's the problem.
They have not
They have
communicated.
not communicated at all to the monthly letters that go out. The other, I think it's 4 other, have either been in communication and or have made payments or have paid significant portions and are on track to stay that way.
Well, let's hope these other parties begin to
Yep.
try to make a little start.
A little effort, exactly, yes.
Hard work, Doug, and thank you so much for that.
No problem. I have a few other things.
Please. No, that was just on the tax.
Excellent, no problem.
Still your floor.
No problem. Reserve funding.
Room to criticize you.
Exactly, right, the table's still open. Reserve funding is about 75% done for the year. Majority of those have been transferred, so I'm monitoring the last few, which will tie into the last piece, which is the tax anticipation note. But I funded, like I said, about 75% of all reserve funds, so those are all taken care of. So that being said, as is discussed with the past meeting or two, the village will need to do a tax anticipation note this year to bridge the gap from the July 1st budget through tax time, which realistically the bulk of the taxes come in not till about mid-October. So I have emailed out there's a few things that the bank will need, which I've gathered most of it between Mary, Lori, and myself. So the tax anticipation note letter that went out basically just kind of explains where it will be with the bank. So the borrowed money period will be from approximately July 15th, that depends on the closing through the bank, through approximately December 15th. The due date will be probably either the December 1st or December 15th to allow for the full collection of the majority of the taxes. So we have to do an approximated cash flow for the months that it's going to be used, which will cover July, August, September, and October. So a estimated payroll for those 4 months is $60,000. Again, estimate is probably a little high. We do have the increases that will take into effect on July 1st. Estimated accounts payable for the 4 months is $270,000. I put extra in there because of the paving project. We weren't sure when the bill was going to come in for the paving project, so we wanted to make sure that there was enough to cover. Unrestricted cash on hand as of July 15th is approximately $35,000. And again, that's the unrestricted portion. And part of that is estimate, obviously, like I said, because we're trying to get, Mary and I spoke about some of the bills we're estimating for the paving project that have yet to come in. So if those come in prior to the end of the month, those will be paid out in this fiscal year. So that's where the estimated cash on hand. So that brings an amount to borrow of $295,000. And then that would be paid back in a lump sum once taxes are collected with the interest.
And
That's the gist of it.
this is not a line of credit, it is an actual loan.
Correct, it's a lump sum.
So
Yep.
for instance, with the graded school district, we do a line of credit.
Correct, right, but this is set up just as it's a lump sum that's taken and then paid back.
What
So
is, I think you told me, and I'm sorry I've forgotten, the estimated interest rate on this?
the estimated interest rate will be in 6.5% to 7%, which is going to be current.
That's pretty high.
Well, it's actually lower than prime.
Oh,
So if you do a line of credit, prime is at 8.25.
okay, wow,
So
okay,
fixed rate, you can usually get a little bit below prime.
okay.
Because prime, you want a longer term. You
Is,
benefited years ago, a couple years
is
ago.
this
about
one
3 or 4.
where we can prepay any of the principal or anything if we?
It can be paid, it will be able to be paid in early, yes.
Okay, so if we were in a favorable situation, or if the grant reimbursements that we're expecting, they sometimes take 6 months, they
Correct.
sometimes don't. If we're in a good situation and we get all of that much quicker than we anticipated, it's possible we can mitigate some of that interest expense.
Correct,
Thank you.
correct. And the several months that it's outstanding, it's not going to be,
No.
in the grand scheme, so we can figure out the cash flow, correct.
Yep, I just don't like paying interest.
I agree.
No one does. Thank you, Doug. Again, nicely done.
So we will need
What
to
do you
have.
need for us?
Yep, so if the trustees are in favor, we will need to have a motion to approve the application of the tax anticipation note in the amount of $295,000 because the bank will need the approval minutes. And then within that motion, approving Mary and Lori to sign the documents for the loan as chairperson and clerk.
I make the motion as stated.
For a total of $295,000.
Yes. And
I'll second.
seconded by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
Again, unanimous for, yes, Matthew and Ray.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Did
And
you
then
want anything else?
One last thing, this past week, I did receive a letter from West Oil. They are
Yes.
beginning their budget / pre-buy. It does not have the prices as of yet, so I will contact them to get the
Yes.
prices, and we can make the determination, if we want to go as we have this past year and, pay as we go, or if we want to go back into the budget /
Well, let's see what
pre-buy.
their budget plan is, because it was kind of easier to do that in a way, but let's see what the rates are.
So I will send them an email and get them once they have them. I think the letter said that they should be out in July. I
Okay,
believe is what the letter said. And we'll get those, and then at the next meeting, most likely we can discuss the rates and decide which route we want to go.
marvelous.
And
Does that, trigger something? The, oil burner at the firehouse.
Yes,
Had some issues and were
we
applying
are,
for grants. I know.
yes, we,
Did we ever, has that been properly maintained every year and
Yes.
cleaned?
well, I don't know about the prior years, but it is now being done so.
Okay, so it was done last fall,
Correct,
and then it will need to be done this,
correct.
okay, and that's all
That's,
set.
yes,
It's in the work,
yes,
okay.
yes. And we are moving forward with,
I know, you're
with the
explaining.
grant process.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
It just needs to
Yeah,
last
yeah, keep
before
it
we
going,
get that.
that's why I brought it
Yeah.
up.
Right.
Any other questions?
And the West had said something about its lack of condition, but of course we did get some repairs made.
Yes.
Hopefully we do get enough.
Is West doing the cleaning?
I don't believe
Servicing.
I don't believe we have West doing servicing. I believe there's a local servicer.
Is it Bennington?
Well, we
No,
had Bennington cooling and heating
Yes,
last year.
they did the last one because they had to do the repairs.
Yes.
But West Oil does have the capability of doing that. Can you
Yes.
talk to them about that as well?
So I'll add that to my
Yes.
email when I send it
Yes.
to them and
Yes,
see about making sure that we can get on the schedule.
yeah, and would you
Right.
ask Norm about this building?
Yep.
Because I know Norm takes care of this and their own, but maybe there's some sort of a maintenance plan that you
Yeah,
can.
I'll talk to them about service.
Okay,
Any other questions for me?
any questions from the public?
Okay, that's all I
Thank
got.
you.
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Man, we're on time. We're ahead of time.
We are.
I know, I'm gonna jinx it. Next on the agenda was the Development Review Board. Chris, are you,
Hold on just a second.
oh, sorry.
Sam, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to make a statement before I make that out.
Well, we have, if it's not pertaining to this, we do have the public comments, which will be in the new business portion.
Okay, sorry about that. I'll back out.
No,
No
can
problem.
you, sorry, Sam, can you tell me what you want to comment about, and I wanna make a note of that.
No, I just like the way you conduct your meetings, that's all. You're very cordial, you acknowledge everybody, get things done.
Thank you, sir.
That is much appreciated.
Yes, all of us attempt to do so. So Chris, Development Review Board, did you have anything you want to say, or are you just listening here?
The Development Review Board meeting has been warned and posted.
Yes.
And it's all set to go. We have 2 items on the agenda for that meeting. One is going to be a meeting about some renovations to Water Street plant. We want to put more apartments in there. And the second one is going to be about driveway / roadway on College.
Thank you, Chris.
And that's next Tuesday.
That is next Tuesday at 7 o'clock here.
Yes.
Then next Wednesday at 7 o'clock is the Planning Commission also meets here. And that will be there. We do want to thank, with much sadness, Mr. Ron Hatchie for being our zoning administrator for just the past few months. But Mr. Hatchie was unable to continue that. He did such a nice service for this village, and we will surely miss him. But we will be posting that job position again. So all of you out there, come on, think about it. And at this point, that's all I can comment on the planning commission. We will now move quickly to our new business, and Mr. Robert Novak would like to have a few minutes to discuss some traffic issues. And Rob, the floor is yours.
You know that I'm always interested in traffic in this town, not only on my street, but on other streets. And I noticed that there was an article in the New York Times saying that noise could take years off your life, having too damn noise, traffic, airplanes, and such as that. And it was fitting because this past Sunday, in the middle of the day, it was just, I think, incredibly, that reminded me of being, of my living near the Mass Pike. You know, and I guessed that most of the traffic was going in the neighborhood of 40 miles per hour. And then, of course, I started thinking about the houses that are being renovated on either side of me. And I think, you know, what kind of environment are we living into? We have really a thoroughfare. Then people treat it as a thoroughfare. I've done some research, not only on Main Street, of course. I mean, this is on, you just name the street, and we have the problems, Park Street, Bank Street, et cetera, et cetera. I did some research on speed bumps up 2 towns up north. I can give you the details. One, the security is still out. On the other town, people are clamoring for more speed bumps to be put in. There's no, there seems to be no problem with plowing and no problem with emergency vehicles. And that town went through the regional commission for that. And the other day I called DCRC just to see what could be done, or what maybe the trustees could do to ask for a village-wide plan. And the answer I got was not satisfactory at all. He mentioned, you know, what was going on in Shaftesbury, Fox Avenue, what was not new to me because I talked to Art Whitman recently. But that's something that I think we do need a village-wide concept. It's a question of what kind of village we want it to be. That's what kind of village we want it to be. I did have a long talk with Sheriff Cully maybe a week and a half ago, and I left with the impression that we should not be counting on any services from the Bennington police for a number of reasons. And again, for the type of village, I was interested in, basically started being interested in the businesses that have outdoor dining. I've been down here to the coffee shop, and it would be so much nicer if the traffic were controlled, so much nicer. And so I approached a lot of the, businesses actually. And I just have a copy of this. I'll give you the original, Mary.
Thank you. I will make copies and give this.
I have all copies.
Oh, okay.
I have the copies, but I'll give you the original.
Well,
And most people on board, unfortunately, I was at the bottom, Jamie Hill. I was after the city attorney passed away. But most of them were very, very happy to see that something was, as I believe most of the citizens are in this village, that something, you know, they're asking for more. They're asking for more. That's all. I don't see, I mean, I've been doing this for years, I don't see, at least in front of my house, it's just anecdotal, of course, but I don't see any improvement at all.
We second that for Main Street. It's awful. And the schools, right by, near our house, children crossing the street, children coming down to the intersection. I'm just amazed. We've been here for 4 years. I realize we're newcomers in Vermont. I know you're a newcomers. But we are very worried about the children and their safety. We're worried about safety of pedestrians. We're worried about pulling in on our street. It's just treacherous, and we need some support.
Can I ask where you live? 13 Main Street. Scott, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I was wondering if the New York Times article, could we include that in our minutes?
Yes, I just had a date, I think Mary didn't send you.
You did.
I sent her the link, so.
I would, yeah, we could, if it's appropriate, I'll ask Laura if that's appropriate to include in the
Okay.
minutes. I don't see why not.
Okay.
And I'm going to send it to you.
Well, I'd like to read it, but
Yes.
also
Robert
there
did send it to me,
there
so I can
are
share.
residents who have issues, and I think that should be part of the public record.
Not a problem. Any other discussion or comments on that? Thank you, Robert. I know you put a lot of work into this.
I really do appreciate Robert's work on this, but I'm not sure what, we're in an impasse, right? Like, I mean, short of us going out there and laying our bodies down on the streets, I'm not sure what's next. I mean,
I can tell you that in terms of the request for a village plan, it has been long my desire to have a professional planning, receive a professional planning grant. The last 2 years, the funds were not there for it. It should be available this fall, and I will camp myself out somewhere to be one of the first in line to apply for that once that comes out. And that, I think, is something that we could encourage, or we could get some public input for what we would like to see included in a planning grant, because it does need to encompass the whole village. We don't have a lot of space here. I mean, we don't cover a lot of acreage, but we have some marvelous assets in this village. And I think we can do something to see what can we do short-term and long-term to watch over all of it. Yes, Robert.
Yeah, I think the things, at least in the short term, I think that in terms of businesses and attractions, things have improved a great deal. And I think that needs to be accelerated if we decide on a certain plan. And some of it has to include, no respect for Stevens, it just has to.
Thank you.
That's it.
Again, thank you both, and thank you, Lorraine.
And Robert, what was the date of that article?
It was 6/9.
I'll send you that link.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if you don't get it from me tomorrow, call me,
Okay,
bug me.
all right.
I don't mind.
Just to reiterate what I said,
Please.
we last year, that for every 10 miles per hour, the decibel noise level doubles. So if Sunday, if everybody were going, even though we can't do anything about the volume, but we could do something about the speed. It seems to me.
And that does a lot to
It
the
does a
noise.
lot, it does a lot, it does a lot, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your fitting me in.
Of course, always welcome. I had two other things I wanted to quickly mention under our new business. One of which is Art Whitman is going to have somebody look at the ball field. Art Whitman and some other residents are putting together a 60th reunion of folks from, well, I guess, I don't know if it was called the Village School way back 60-some years ago.
No, in North Bennington's greatest
The
school.
North Bennington Greatest School.
Wait, 60 years ago, it was the high school as well.
Okay, so they're having a high school reunion from
Yes.
60 years ago. Some of you weren't born then, possibly? Yes. But at any rate, so Art is going to have possibly have a fireworks person look at using the ball field, and then he will contact the fire department.
At the ball field.
At the ball field. He wants to possibly do a small fireworks display.
And when?
It is July 30th. July 30th. But he's just doing some preliminary studies right now, but I just thought it would be worth mentioning. The other thing, did anybody have any questions before I rush
I
along?
have a comment.
Yes.
Just because fireworks can be a triggering thing for animals and for veterans to at least, if they're gonna have actual fireworks, then maybe they can let people know that it's happening.
I believe it will be. You know what, that is a good idea. Let me put it in.
Right.
I know
And there is also that issue for is it annual 4th of July, actually on July 3rd, isn't at the lake.
Yeah, Lake Perrin is
Right.
doing theirs.
There has to be notice there.
Yes, I believe that is in the works as well.
It is in the works.
Thank you,
Yep.
yes.
Good.
Okay, then the other thing I wanted to mention is, the rat's nest of records that are upstairs in this building. I've been going through some of them, over time, and I have a pile as big as this tabletop, of things I absolutely know can be shredded. I've spoken with Secure Shred. We would be under a municipal or a state rate of $5 per banker box of shredded documents. We just simply have to take them out of plastic or hardcover binders. We don't have to worry about paper clips and whatnot. But I am.
Could we have like a trustees meet?
Well, that's what I'm going, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. I would like to show at least a few of you what records are there. Now, there are tons of things. The Vista volunteer for Lake Perrin was here with me earlier this week. They were looking for some historical documents on Lake Perrin, of which several were found, just write-ups and stories and whatnot.
Right.
But we have to start making a dent in the things we no longer need to keep. We do not need to keep canceled checks from 20 years ago.
No, we don't.
We do not. So those are the type of things.
But there are some things that are documentary.
There are many documents up there. So what I'm trying to do is if I don't know, if I'm unsure of it, I leave it. If I'm certain it can be shredded, I take it.
Well,
I'm making a
that's
list
the
of,
low-hanging fruit.
yes, I'm making a list of all the annual reports that we have. I've got a whole file full of them upstairs.
Right.
I'm keeping 4 to 5 copies of everything that
Yeah.
that we have, and the rest of it is shredded. So, I will email all of you, but at some point, at least one at a time, come over, go look at this with me, because I am gonna call Secure Shred, and start doing this. We can't get to the point. Go ahead.
I'm okay with that, Mary, and I think it's actually a really good idea, but I will tell you that we need to be more concerned about what was already thrown out by various people going into, over my 20-some years. Like, there were documents on that first floor exterior door, was the Lions Club or somebody had access to it. They decided they didn't want them anymore, and they were gone. And having a Vista person come into, I think access to those records is.
The Vista person, first of all, the Vista person is not coming on her own. I'm there with her.
I get that, and I appreciate that.
That's fine.
I agree. There's a lot of historical stuff up there that really is important, and there are boxes and boxes of checks. And
well, I think we need some rules first.
Well, we do have some rules. We do have some rules, and I can do that. But the problem is, this is so huge. If we wait for the perfect everything, nothing will get done.
I'm not
because
asking
it
for
hasn't been.
I'm not asking for the perfect everything. I'm just asking for.
We'll do that. But in the
rules
meanwhile, what I know can be thrown away should be thrown away. It is too massive to even begin to sort when you're touching the same thing 15 times.
I understand, but I do believe that a rule
A records
driven
retention
process
policy,
is going
yes.
to be, you know, I know there are rules in your head and you're following them, but I don't necessarily, maybe I don't have the same rule, or I miss a rule if I go in there. So it helps if it's at least two people doing it.
Yeah.
And that if there's a published set of rules for us to follow.
At the
Because-
July meeting, you will have a records retention policy.
No,
to
that's
review.
fine. That's great. That's,
Yeah.
that's all I'm
It's
advocating.
already halfway done. So
Okay.
getting
Fantastic.
work to be done. But in the meanwhile, well, go
I
ahead.
was gonna just comment, I came up and we were,
Yeah.
looking at things this morning, I guess it was. And I made the suggestion, because we've got planning commission, zoning board, which is now the DRB, school stuff, like parent stuff, that we take that large room that's empty and make piles.
Right.
And put all the planning commission stuff in one
Yes.
pile,
Yes.
all the school stuff in one
Right.
pile, and then at least it wouldn't be all jumbled together. So if the lake people wanna come and look, then there's a lake pile.
Well, correct. Now, we also have a file up there that's noted that it belongs to Fund for North Bennington, so they can look at it.
Take it up.
What I'm simply trying to do is get the lowest of the low-hanging fruit out of there,
Right,
so that we're not tripping all over ourselves, because you saw that you can't even walk through the place.
Right. And like planning commission wouldn't have canceled checks, so
No.
that wouldn't,
And in many of these
And
boxes,
that's-
there's there's all kinds of things dumped in the same box.
right, there's stuff from Shasberry you pointed
Right.
out, and, yes, I think it definitely needs to be done. I would volunteer to help
So
move stuff.
all I'm doing is moving things that with absolute metaphysical certitude, I know can be thrown away.
Right.
So,
You know, the history of metaphysics, the certitude is not.
Leave it to the philosopher. Okay. But my point, Mary, is that Lori's daughter spent quite a bit of time cataloging a lot of stuff that was up there, and that stuff was already, it's been messed with since, but in that lower room, those boxes of stuff, I think, are kind of organized.
I have not even been in the lower room. So
Okay, so you're talking
I don't know what's
up-
there.
That upper room and all this just stuff lying all, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
mess, but in that is some jewels, like late 1700s records in French.
Oh, absolutely, and those I'm not touching that at all.
Yeah.
So I think that brings up another issue, and because there's a security issue. Because people willy-nilly, to some extent, in the past, maybe not now, have gone up there and as, what did you say, mess with it, or what, I don't know word it was used, but stuff has been taken apart and put back together in different ways.
So, and the other thing that I just learned today is, on the left side of the building, well, as I'm sitting here looking over there is a closet that, did you know there's a whole little, kind of like a little closet room over there that's full of, there's at least 3 empty file cabinets. There's boxes of pictures, there's boxes of stuff. There's old chairs piled up in there with cane seats that are rotted. I mean, what?
You're talking on the first floor, right, from the
Yeah,
exterior?
right down here, right on the other.
Yes, that's my point, is for a long time, that was used by Shasberry Lions or and it was, people went in there and those hold the records of the old chair of the board 50 years ago, and they were thrown out. lots of stuff was thrown out because they had a key to it.
Okay, so I take your point. That's, well advised. I didn't take time to look at what's there other than to say, you can't even get to stuff because you've got to climb over broken chairs piled up. So that's another thing to decide. What are we going to do with these? Do you burn them? Do you take them to an antique place and say, have at, come look at them and take them if you want them? I really don't know.
I can take a look at them.
Why don't you do that? Yeah, but until this afternoon, I did not even know it existed. Right.
Have you even been into the railroad safe yet? On the other side, the door that was where the railroads, stored the gold and stuff.
Well, that's what Norm calls this, the safe room.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I'm thinking.
But that was from the inside.
Yes, I went in there from the inside.
Oh, okay. There's another door. Yeah, there's another door right from the exterior, right to the left, right to the right of the door to the other side.
You never knew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe if we can find some gold that's still in there, we can apply it to our account. So
Nice thinking, Doug.
we'll be good shape.
So,
I already took all that out of there.
at any
All right,
rate,
Pretty sure that's wishful
at any rate, we gotta start
The
somewhere. So
railroad is not in.
we are just doing that.
Got in somewhere.
Okay, so I didn't want to make a big deal of that because it'll take some more doing, but it's just to get the process started.
I think we need to review this topic again and actually make some plans to do.
Yeah, so you guys know something.
Because that's the only way it's really gonna happen.
Okay, well.
You have been very good about trying that, Mary. I laud you.
Yes, it is huge.
I've been up there. I know what it looks like.
Yeah, and did you know there are,
In part, I don't know about this other stuff.
there must be 10, 15 feet of boxed pictures of some sort.
Framed, some of them are framed.
Yeah, I don't know what they are.
Well, maybe we need to get, isn't Rob Wilmington the unofficial historian?
You guys tell me.
Yeah, he should be involved.
If he's back in town, maybe we should ask him if he's.
Background.
Are you saying that still some of Frank Howard's, Howard Frank,
These are photographs you're talking about.
No, I don't know whether they are or not. They're large boxes that look like they're holding framed pictures of some sort. And these things are probably 18, 20 inches.
I mean, if they're Frank Howard stuff in there, we get.
that's all from Tom. That's all because we offered that space to Tom.
Fells?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And he used that space to curate that for a couple of years.
Okay.
Well, another person that we can look at, but it would just be a shame to have things up there that are molded and mildewed. I can't go up there without my N95 because you can hardly breathe that stuff up there. So at any rate, thank you.
And
The last thing on my agenda under old business is I wanted to just to review for the public especially, two of our recent ordinances that have been questioned or used. Article 15, which is posters and signs. Just under the prohibitions, no person shall post any poster, sign, or similar material on any building, sign, post, fence, tree, walk, stone, or any other natural or man-made object within any street, road, alley, park, or other property owned by the village of North Bennington. And it goes on. So Tara has advised us on several occasions that the intent of this was to support our local nonprofits and let them put advertising or notification out on something. But our ordinance doesn't say so. Well, so to be fair, we should apply this ordinance as it is to everyone and ask anyone. So we have asked people and we have provided permission, but I'm wondering, should we amend this?
I don't know that we need to amend it. I think that all signs going up should be approved or unapproved by us. Because there may be a worthy cause that isn't a nonprofit.
Okay,
That we would say, oh yes, you should be able to put that.
then that should be stated in this ordinance, because other ordinances do say it, but the exception is it.
Okay. The only reason I wouldn't change it is because it aligns nicely with the Bennington ordinances, and that's what we were trying to do, was to align with Bennington. And it still gives us that power, that people can still come to us and say, I want to put a sign up. And we can make that determination on a case-by-case basis.
Then maybe there needs to be some clarification of this, because the article as it is does not allow that, and it doesn't even allow us for review, but we should have a review. Absolutely. Here, let me give this to you because I want to move on.
And this is only on North Bennington property.
It's on, yes, you can, Chris.
No, I was gonna say the other ordinance that should tie into this is number 12. And that talks about putting any objects in public domain, public space, which includes signs, picnic tables, garbage cans, and left for more than 72 hours.
Okay,
That has become an issue in certain places.
okay.
So I just thought that might.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
It's a similar ordinance, but it doesn't deal with signs, it deals with other
Yes, it deals with dead storage, or abandoned property, or same space.
We did
that. Yeah.
We did have a moment in the recent history where that was a thing.
Okay.
I'm open to amending it, maybe
clarifying.
we can get a few more of the ordinances done at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we'll start to align.
Speaking of ordinances, I found a couple of things, just files and with other stuff that were ordinances from probably 30 years ago. So I thought, would that be
good?
kind of
If they
cool to
don't
look at?
supersede these, then they probably
They might
apply.
still be there. Well, I don't know if they've ever been properly warned, like we did all of this.
That's the whole
So
thing.
you'll see. But
If they've been signed and there are minutes
If-
somewhere,
if we can take a look.
I know
The
we
other-
talked about it.
The other one that's been questioned, and I know I asked you about this too, is Article 13, discharge of firearms. The prohibition reads as follows: no person, whether hunting, target shooting, or for any other purpose, shall discharge a firearm within 500 feet of a residential or other building which is occupied or designed to be occupied by human beings, or any structure used or designed to be used by domestic farm animals, including but not limited to barns and stables anywhere in the village of North Bennington. This has recently been tested, and the Bennington PD, who have this ordinance, deemed it not to apply if the person is shooting at their own property and within 500 feet of their own home, but not anybody else's. Just saying. And Tara, you did some additional research on this.
I looked up a little bit more in terms of the state laws, and general state laws, and it varies state to state, but 400 to 500 feet, it doesn't specify your own home.
Yes.
So as our ordinance does state, it's any home you should not be firing within 500 feet of. So I think that the police may have had a leg to stand on if they had said, okay, stop firing near your house. Even though it's your own house.
So if this is something that comes up again, trustees.
I also feel like I'm sorry, I get feedback. That ordinance sounds like it was written back when we were shooting muskets.
I mean, this is the one that Bennington currently has in their books. I don't know when they approved it, we could certainly look it up.
I remember this one from the early 90s.
Yeah.
So it's been around a while.
I just don't think that there ought to be rifles shot within a mile of other houses. You know, it's just Shotguns is one thing. It's fine that they hunt on Lake Perrin because it's not going to be a problem. But
I think, Matthew, that would supersede state law, and you might get into some sticky wording and sticky situations arguing that point.
no, if in fact that does, if my opinion supersedes state law, then I wouldn't go further with it. But I'm kind of surprised that the police show up.
If this is a matter that does come to the trustee body again, perhaps we get a legal opinion on it, I don't know. And then we can do that. But I just wanted to mention those because those in the public have mentioned those two before.
Thank you.
Okay. The only last thing I had, first of all, I do want to say, I meant to mention this. I do hope all of us and those in the listening public thoroughly enjoy the opening of Art in the Park this weekend. They're already setting things up. They look to be the emboss Art in the Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Better than ever.
Yes, and they're putting them up also on the trail up behind the museum. So there's lots of wonderful cultural things that we can encourage ourselves and our friends and family to do.
And we should mention that the person who runs this, and this year he's got help, right, Joe? He's got some help this year.
Yeah.
Because there's some big stuff going on.
There is. You're right. And the village residents approved an increase in the budget, which will come in handy as soon as we get into our new fiscal year. Good luck.
Great.
Okay, so the last thing I have is I need a motion to entertain, or a motion to enter, thank you, into a brief executive session. for purposes
So
of
moved.
discussion.
Before,
Wait.
before you go in, just for Cat TV purposes, are you gonna be making any motions when you leave? Or can Cat TV?
No, we will be making a motion when we come out, I believe,
The purpose is personnel.
for a payroll issue.
Payroll. Okay. I'll make the motion. Matthew moved it. Yes, I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Cat TV, I'm going to put you in the waiting room and line with us. We have exited executive session. The trustees
Yes.
will now move
We are
forward.
now, we are now entertaining a motion to vote for the wage, to make a motion to affirm the wage adjustment discussed in our executive session.
So,
Thank you, Scott.
Second.
Seconded by Ray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Then my next motion, unless I.
motion to adjourn.
Yes, at 8:42, we have a motion by Scott to adjourn.
Yep.
Seconded by Ray,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Aye.
thank you to
So I'll make
everyone.
a note for Mary